Well, it's important for kids entering kindergarten, 7th grade, to have physicals that are up to date. And for kids that are going to be participating in sporting events, they generally need a physical as well. Also, a big change this year for the state of Nebraska is that kids of all ages will be needing a second varicella booster prior to starting school. And I know for a lot of folks they didn't necessarily have that second varicella booster. If you have a finicky eater who's not going to eat the school lunch or the hot lunch at school, then obviously you want to pack something that they'll like and that they'll actually eat rather than sharing with their friends. You also want to make sure that there's some nutritional value, of course, to what they're eating. Fruits, vegetables, good variety, protein, not just chips and soda. Those sorts of things are important. The other issue that I would advise parents is to make sure that if their child's lunch will not be refrigerated until lunchtime, that they make sure that they pack plenty of ice coolers or cubes to keep it cold, and maybe not pack things that contain mayonnaise or some things that are likely to spoil if they aren't kept at the proper time. Age kids still need 10 to 11 hours of sleep per night. Middle schoolers are generally going to need about 9.5 hours at night, and high schoolers probably need at least 8 to 9 hours as well, which probably a lot of high schoolers aren't getting that much sleep. The other thing that's important to try and do is kind of turn back the clock a bit, if you will. We've been trying to get to bed a little bit earlier this week and up a little bit earlier this week and probably even earlier next week in anticipation of when school actually starts, so they're kind of in a routine a bit. Well, it's hard to focus. It's hard to stay awake and to receive new information and be open to new information if you're just tired and trying to stay awake at either school or at work. So it is very important. It's important to just your general well-being to have enough sleep at night. So that is very important, and kids these days are so booked and scheduled and practices and everything else on top of their homework and school hours that it's hard sometimes to get them to bed on time. Probably practicing the routine maybe a day or two before you really have to go and do the thing for real is a good idea. Just logistically sometimes, how do you get kids to all sorts of different schools? So maybe a run through a day or two ahead of time so it's not such a trauma the day of, the first day of school might be a suggestion. Well, I think it's generally good advice. When kids have been at school all day for 8 hours, let them come home, have a little break. They might need a snack, just a little time to unwind and kind of be a kid for a while. And then probably a good idea to try and focus in on the homework or the practices that they have to attend first and get that homework done. If there's any time left at the end of the night, then maybe it's time for the Xbox or PlayStation or what have you. But that should probably be low on the list of priorities. That's a hard one. That is a hard one, and it probably varies from kid to kid. Some kids do great in totally structured environments, and they go from this activity to the next and seem to do fine with that. Other kids probably need more time, and maybe you have to know your child and kind of know what they're comfortable with, see how they're doing with things, see if it's working for them, make sure that they're able to maintain the study habits that they need to have, and I like to think that we don't completely schedule our kids' lives, that they have a little time yet to be a kid as well. Hopefully the lines of communication at home are nice and open and they can tell mom and dad that they're feeling a little stressed and overwhelmed, and certainly their family physician, their pediatrician, their school counselor, again, all are good resources. So.